Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, let's get to the big story. And this is the whole Trina, Jordan scene, and everything else that followed along. Um, Now, I'm really split on Trina and her actions today. Because I can sit there and look at this and say what she did was, well, really stupid, really dumb. But also I can look at it being naive, you know? Because, yeah, everyone who's watching the show know that Trina didn't do it. She knows that she didn't do it, so she feels like she has nothing to hide. And she gives her the phone. Now, when she looks in her bag, she realizes that she has two phones, even though that she told Jordan that she has one. Later on in the episode, Jordan was like, she shouldn't have gave me that phone. But to be fair, there should have been a lot of things that her and Trina shouldn't have done. Now, I kept sitting there, racked my brain around, trying to understand why Jordan never gave Portia and Taggart a heads up. Okay? Racking my brain around. Even when I went to go get lunch, and I always sit there, go to my favorite place, and one of the customers that are there, was watching GH and stuff like that, and I was not there. This is during a commercial break, so I was not there telling her why didn't she not bother to give them a heads up. And of course, she was like, well, she did. She told Curtis to call, Portia and Taggart. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of after the fact. Why didn't she not do that before? Now, she stated some sort of rule or whatever, and granted, with the law and rules, it's very questionable when it comes towards, well, soap operas and just TV in general. But one of the reasons why I guess she said she couldn't do it is because it was some sort of rule or whatever that they're not supposed to contact the family prior to talking to their child or their son or daughter. I don't know how true this is, but this is the reason why she decided to do like a loop around and get Curtis to tell Portia and Taggart. Anyway, there's a couple of times when Jordan says to Trina, do you want to have, do you want to have a lawyer here? Do you want to get your parents here? Do you want to do something before you sit there and have this conversation with me? Trina, being naive, decided to not listen to any of that. And this is when I'm just like, that was pretty stupid. But also, Trina has nothing to hide. And so, being naive, she was like, yeah, whatever, fine. You know, I'll do it. I'm not going to sit there and worry about any of that. I'll just sit there and tell you how it is. Now, of course, when Taggart gets down there, Taggart started to go in on Trina. Taggart was like, listen, you never, ever, ever answer any sort of questions, give them anything without a lawyer in front of you. And of course, Portia's like, all right, listen, this isn't the time or the place for it. And to be honest, I was on Taggart's side, like, your dad's a cop. You would sit there and think that this was kind of instilled in you from, I don't know, the time you can talk. Um, Now, of course, they're both angry at Jordan. And I look at this whole thing and I'm just like, not that I'm a lawyer or anything like that or know much about the law, but I'm pretty sure that Jordan is way too close to this case in general and should probably let somebody else handle this whole thing. Now, Jocelyn's outside and she's like, what's going on? What's taking so long? And, you know, when it moved from one part, when Jordan and Trina, moved from one part of the station to the other, she was like, what's going on? Now Dante knows exactly what's going on, but he's trying to keep Jocelyn calm, and he's not really Smith trying to give her much answers, maybe because, well, he knows exactly how she's going to respond, or I don't know, he has his own reasons. Anyway, they get down there, after talking to Curtis, they get down there, and Taggart is livid. He is livid. And, Curtis is like, yo, listen, she gave me a call to kind of give you guys a heads up. She understands that, like, she's being kind of railroaded, but, her hands are tied. There's not really much she can do. She's following protocol. You got to understand that. Don't go so hard on her. Portia, Portia is pissed. Okay. She's pissed. And, she also tells, Trina, listen, don't say anything with a lawyer. Do not say anything moving forward without a lawyer. Now, Dante has to sit there and read her rights, and, he just feels terrible. Because, when he's sitting there talking to Jordan, he's like, yo, some of this evidence just seemed a little bit too well placed. I mean, being exact, spot on about the casing, the coloring, and everything like that. Like, it's too neat. But they got to sit there and follow it. So when he reads her the Miranda rights and everything like that, he feels bad about it. He doesn't even sit there and handcuff her. He just walks her down there, the booking and everything like that. And, this whole thing, when it comes out that, you know, um, Taggart isn't really Trina's father and is Curtis, his energy is going to change. His energy is going to change. I find his energy to be a little, unrealistic. I guess it's a soap opera, but damn. She cheated on you all those years ago, and you sit there like, hey, listen, I'm so happy that you and Curtis are moving in together. I mean, it was in the past. It was a long time ago. I did my fair share, so it's no big deals. Really, bro? Really? I'm not sitting there saying you gotta sit there and get all upset and like smack a man. Yep, I had to sit there and say it. I really did because I'm still not over that. But I'm not gonna sit there and talk about it in this review. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. So Phyllis gets Harmony down there to try to um, get Harmony to talk to Willow as far as, Nina being able to see her grandchild. And, Harmony's like, you did all this going down to this memory lane stuff just sit there and try to convince me to speak to my daughter about getting Nina more visitation rights. Are you serious? I'm supposed to sit there and manipulate her? What the hell is the matter with you? So she gets angry and she just walks off. And later Phyllis calls Nina and Nina's like, well, how did it go? Did you sit there and talk to her? Like, well, what happened? And Phyllis like, yeah, it didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to. At all. Now, Nina is still mad at Scott for the stunt that he pulled. But Scott's like, yeah, you do realize because of what I pulled, you're not in jail anymore, right? Which I'm just like, you're still upset with that. Like, I understand that she might have been a little bit annoyed about it, maybe a little angry, but at the end of the day, you're not in jail because of him. And you have no gratitude towards him whatsoever. That's just typical Nina. So after they talk about that for a little bit, they talk about Sunny, and Nina thinks that she's different. It's almost laughable. It's almost laughable. If I wasn't so angry about the video that I did, that I referenced, I might actually have had a good chuckle. But she thinks that she's different. She thinks that she's going to stand the test of time and succeed where all of Sunny's other women has failed, including Carly. And that's what Scott says. Scott's like, yo, listen, you're not different. What makes you think you're going to be different? And he was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I won't be different, but what? But what, Nina? What? You think you're special? Ah, that's funny. So they talk about that, and at that point, Scott brings up a good brings up a good question, and it's the same question that Dante said to Sonny. You can't have both. Okay, you're either gonna have Wiley, you're gonna sit there and fight in court, and Scott would do everything in his power and then some to make sure that you get rights to see that child, even though there's no DNA testing proving that you are, now his biological mom. But screw all that. He's gonna sit there and try his best, but he can't do both. Okay, it's like you either have to pick Wiley or you have to pick Sonny. You're not gonna have both. And although Nina had that stupid look on her face, that stupid pouty look, like she's some teenage girl that got told something that she didn't want to hear, you're gonna have to accept it or not. And she looked and she knew. The adult side of her knew that Scott was right. The idiot in her just kind of looked like she was mad, and how dare you say that to me? She says, "Thank you for the drink," and she walks off. I'm like, you know what? Man, you're rich. Why don't you pay for the damn drinks then? So Alexis talks to TJ and Molly, and tells them about Harmony's thing. It's like, hey, listen, if you have anything to say, because I can see the look on your face, if you have anything to say, just say it. Molly and TJ have this very diplomatic approach to it, where they're not going to sit there and say how they personally feel. They're like, no. But Sean told us, to keep an eye on you because Sean doesn't sit there and trust Harmony. And, we think that, Sean's a good guy and he's known you for a very long time. So, this is what we're doing. And I'm sitting there thinking, Molly, why don't you say how you feel? Not how, and the same thing with TJ. Why don't y'all say how y'all feel about Harmony and not defaulting to Sean's opinion about how he feels? I mean, I get it. I get the fine line between trying to be neutral, but I'm like, at some point, you gotta sit there and say how you feel, not how somebody else feels. We're grown adults, so we're trying to act like adults, okay? And of course, Harmony comes in. Harmony's like, listen, they're right, and you should be happy that you got people that's looking out for you, this, that, and the third. Now, at some point, she spills this cup of tea or coffee on purpose. Then she goes somewhere, and she comes back, and she's like, oh, I found these tools that's going to get rid of him. And Alexa's like, how did you know that they were there? And of course, Harmon's like, well, being a caregiver, I can kind of just spot where people are going to keep all their cleaning supply is. And so, that's just what I did. And Alexis is like, that, none of that, what you just said made any sense. But hey, I'm going to sit there and trust you anyway. You can stay for as long as you need. Alexis, you know that what she just said, when she came back out, made no sense, but you're gonna go with it because the plot says to go with it. Okay, cool, awesome. Oh, and Esme continues to play Nicholas. Woe is me attitude. Spencer's abandoned me, and now I got no one, and yada yada yada. Of course, Nicholas is not there trying to be diplomatic, like, hey, listen, I'm not trying to take sides. I don't want to take sides or anything like that, but I'm going to take sides. And he gives her a place to stay as far as above Kelly's. He's going to pay for it and everything like that. And, you know, um, Esme is happy and hugs him and everything like that. She sits down, she sees Portia and Taggart running off, and she already knows where they're going. So she's smiling, plan is working, and I'm with it. I find her to be a much better villain than Nell. Because Nell was very one note. And the reason why I couldn't get behind Nell and her being the villain and the stuff that she did was that she blamed Carly for her having a crappy life. And it was all like, oh, well, Carly can't win, this, that, and the third, and Wiley's my meal ticket, and this, that, and the third. And it was like, I can't get behind this crap. I really can't. But with Esme, it seems like it's more than that. Or at least it seems like it's not just about, oh, my life is crap because of this person. So I'm with it. Um, I always sit there and look at these soap operas, and I look at it from when I started watching it. When I started watching soap operas, you had these very classic and iconic villains. And I mean, if you look at it that way, it's severely disappointing. Um, I forgot the guy's name that was on One Life to Live. He was a villain. He was Jessica's father, like her actual biological father. Mitch Lawrence, you know? Villains like Mitch Lawrence. Why don't we have people like that? No, I mean they kind of did somewhat because he was a cult leader and technically Shiloh was. But Shiloh was also a good villain too. And then you have people like No that just kind of diluted everything. Oh, Marshall was sitting there talking to Curtis about, talking to Sonny. Like, why are you talking to Sonny? Sonny's a bad person. I've had encounters with people like Sonny, this, that, and the third, and they always are bad people, and they always collect this, that, and the third. And Curtis talks about when Sonny stepped up for TJ. Now, this was a point where I took a break from watching soap operas. I don't know exactly what happened, but he looked out for him in a big way. I do remember there was a point where TJ wound up getting kidnapped, and Sonny came there to rescue him. Sonny wound up getting shot, I think, and that's when Billy's version of Jason came in and was just being all super badass and take care of the whole situation. But my point is that, Curtis did speak very highly of Sonny. And of course, it didn't sway his opinion. Also, Phyllis spoke very highly of Sonny too, to Marshall. And of course, it didn't sway his opinion either. I'm sitting there wondering, is he actually going to be the big bad that um, Stephen A. Smith's character, Brick, was sitting there talking about? I do remember reading something that he was actually going to be on. Um, he was actually going to be on the episode sometime this week, so it should be interesting. Just as interesting as it was hearing Stephen A. Smith's opinion on everything that went down. That I'm not going to sit there and mention, but we all know what I'm talking about. Yep, I feel like that's about it. I like that's about it. I think I kind of covered all the major plot points. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section below. Before I go, I want to sit there and recommend a good movie. Because I watched it over the weekend, and I was sitting there one. I was like, should I do a review on it? But it came out so long ago. I was like, I don't know. I feel like everyone else already talked about it. Anyway, and there's a movie you can sit there and watch with your family, with your kids on Netflix. It's called The Adam Project, and it's actually really good. And it's not one of those movies where it's like, like those little buddy comedies when you have like the adult and the kid or whatever. Because the kid is actually also really good as far as his character is concerned. So, I haven't felt like that since The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger and that other guy that I can't remember. But yes, The Adam Project is a really good movie, and I highly recommend it. If you didn't watch it, you should see it, and if you did see it, let me know what your thoughts are. So that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching, be safe, and I will see you in the next video.